All right, Akim. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahabushai, Ba'ashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Aquas that may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick lesson and Lord's will, as always, Yahweh Ratazah, and this lesson may be edifying, right? So, excuse me. So for today's lesson, I just wanted to touch on this quick snippet chapter in the book of Tobit, and I thought it was very, very interesting. I was very, very moved to, bring in a couple points. And as always, Yahweh Ratazah, as always, pray and hope this lesson may be edifying, right? So just to get a little context, I didn't have this on the screen here, but I wanted to jump to Tobit chapter 4, and essentially it's kind of a little of a rundown of Tobit giving his son some counsel, right? And what really, really moved me about this particular chapter is the fact that, you have a father, essentially instructing his son in a righteous sense, in a positive sense, right? And normally it's something that you see, especially in Babylon, like Babylon's vibration. Babylon's vibration normally, on top of that, the one thing it does in this kingdom is the fact that it twists and turns the righteous order of things, right? So now we live in a society where the women are uplifted, and essentially the government is married to women are married to the government, excuse me, and there is no father in the household, right? So now we actually go into an account and actually see the presence and the instructions of a father actually being around, right? Actually instructing his son in how to conduct himself wisely, conduct himself righteously, virtuously. And that is something that you don't see, especially on TV, when it comes to the backstory of our people. And normally when you see TV, for example, you see a child, like an Israelite child, for example, whether the movie is probably based in like the maybe in the the words escape me, like in the hood, essentially, and they don't have strong father figures, right? Or they find wicked father figures, I should say that, right? So before I ramble, let me just jump right in. As a matter of fact, let me touch on this quick precept first, and I'll jump right into the story. Let me not ramble too much. Okay, this is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, and it says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it," right? And what's important is the children, growing up in understanding the Most High, his son, Yahawashi, and the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Understanding heritage. That's how you get properly cultured. That's how you properly raise a nation, right? And that is something that our people are missing because, pursuant to Jeremiah 17:4, we've discontinued from our heritage. So what happens when you look at our children, look at our youngsters in the streets, this gang life, this particular different lives that they live? It's a life that's very uncultured, very uncultivated. They're like a bush with, they're like plants essentially that have grown a bunch of thorns, weeds, dandelions. There's snakes, slithering around. It's a garden. Imagine a garden bed that is properly not cultivated. The soil hasn't been enriched, so on and so forth, right? So become our people, especially our children, have become a bunch of degenerate plants, and that is a contribution due to Babylon the Great, aka America's vibration, right? So I said I will jump into the story, so let me jump into the story. This is Tobit chapter 4. I'm just going to jump around and make a couple points here and there. I'm not going to go through the entire chapter. Tobit chapter 4 verse 1, and it says, I'm reading in the GNT, so just so there's no confusion. That same day, Tobit remembered the money he had left with Gabriel at Riges in Media. he thought to himself, now that I have asked the Most High to let me die, I should call my son Tobias to tell him about the money. So just a little backstory. So, Tobit, he ends up sending his son, and his son essentially embarks on this journey. Eventually, the journey is what's the word I'm looking for? He ends up being accompanied by Raphael the angel to acquire this money, right? And verse 3, it says, now Tobit called Tobias, so Tobias is his son, and said to him, son, let when I die, give me a proper burial. And when I'm gone, show respect to your mother and take care of her for the rest of your life. And when she dies, bury her beside me. Remember, she risked her life to bring you into this world. So try to make her happy and never do anything that would worry her. Right. And I thought that was very, very interesting, too, because especially I've noticed, growing up in this, moving to this kingdom, let me say it like that. I've noticed that, there isn't a lot of reverence for your parents, especially teachers as well, especially in this kingdom. So there's a lack of respect. There's a lack of fear, element there, for the, for parents. Like, Jake normally has a typical, relationship with their mother, right? But, but here you actually see the importance of having a father in the household, right? So, and here is Tobit giving his son Tobias proper instruction. As a matter of fact, let me get another precept. Okay, this is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion, right? And we're kind of likened to Tobias in this particular situation, right? Because we have Yahweh B'Shem instructing us as well in the proper ways of how to conduct ourselves in these particular times, right? There's times where we have to be subtle. There's times when we have to execute, show proper judgment when we're, weighing different situations, whether it's amongst ourselves, with other brothers, other brethren in the ministry, with family, so on and so forth, or if you have a woman, and so on and so forth, getting understanding, right? And then also, what also helps us with that is going through, the stories as well, and actually getting an understanding of how seeing our forefathers and foremothers dealt with particular situations, right? That's why it's always good to, reference the stories, right? Kind of like, for example, I'll just use this as an example when King Solomon, during his reign, when he had to, it's in the 3rd chapter when he had to deal with that situation with the 2 women, right? And one woman was saying this is her child and that's the dead child, and so on and so forth, right? So you saw how King Solomon had to do something drastic, right? So you saw our forefathers and foremothers as well doing particular things to execute judgment, right? And this is part of having wisdom. And even in that same chapter, in 1 Kings chapter 3, we notice that I believe it's in that chapter where King Solomon actually ends up, he prayed for wisdom, and that was very, very also important. And that's one of the things that our people actually like. They don't they don't actually seek to acquire wisdom, right? And this is showing the importance of wisdom. Verse 4 again, it says to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase in learning. A man of understanding shall obtain unto wise counsels, right? And this is why we go into the stories of how our forefathers conducted themselves, right? So we can obtain understanding, in our particular camps. We have elders, and we have our apostles, and then we have our elders, and then we have our particular elders, and then different specific camps, and we attain to their wisdom as well, but from the experience they acquired. Okay, so going back to Tobit chapter 4. As a matter of fact, let me get another precept. Just bear with me, because he said something that was also very interesting. Okay, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 3. I'll start at verse 11, and it says, "For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children. My son, help thy father in his age, and grieve him not as long as he liveth. If his understanding fail, have patience with him, and despise him not when thou art in thy full strength," right? So, full strength is a particular time when we're young and we're vibrant and we have energy, we have a lot of testosterone. The scriptures is clearly outlining that, in that particular time, we're young, we want to do things, we want to move around and so on and so forth. Not to, to essentially be patient, with our parents when they get to that particular age, right? I think in Exodus as well, it also outlines honor your father and your mother, right? That's part of our customs, right? But, when you see our people being subjected to this particular kingdom for so long, when our people have children and then their children have children, we see the degradation. You see those, like I was describing earlier, those plants becoming a lot more degenerate. They're becoming more uncultured as opposed to being cultured, right? So hopefully all this is tying together. So I'll go to verse 6. Okay, so it says, be honest and you will succeed in whatever you do. Give generously to anyone faithfully obeying who fulfill. Excuse me, let me read that again. Give generously to anyone who faithfully obeys Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. If you are stingy in giving to the poor, the Most High Yahweh will be stingy in giving to you. Give according to what you have. So this is going into the alms and so on and so forth. This is a good example, because I think in Sirach it also says, give good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense. If you don't find a recompense from him, then you will find a recompense from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? To roughly paraphrase. Let me jump down. Okay, this is I'm gonna jump down to verse 14. It says, pay your workers each day, never keep back their wages overnight. Honor Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. In this way he will reward you. Behave properly at all times, right? And that's so important. As a matter of fact, let me read this and then I'll make my point. Verse 15, it says, never do to anyone else anything that you want someone to do to you. Do not drink so much wine that you get drunk. Do not let drinking become a habit, right? So here you actually continue to see how important it is to when Tobit gets to a particular age and he's about to go back to the spirit world, what's so important is that his son actually has instructions into how to navigate his life, and essentially when he carries on and has his children, he knows how to guide and properly help them, right? Temptations and vices and so on and so forth, right? That's why it's so important to have fathers in the household, and that is something that is completely underrated in this particular society, because our society doesn't see and value the importance of our fathers. Let's see, let me just get Romans 15 verse 4. It reads, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that through patience and comfort of the scriptures we might have hope." Right? And that's why it's so important to, like I was always saying earlier, go into like a lot of these accounts, because you saw the ancient ways, like it says in Jeremiah, "Seek ye the old paths," that the ways our people actually dealt with each other, the way they made themselves look to be more pleasing towards Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, as opposed to our people constantly being bombarded with Babylon's vibration, and they taking on the customs of the heathen, seeing them take on the customs that make them essentially distasteful, be like a smoke in the nose of the smoke, like a detestable smoke in the Most High's nose, right? Let me just bring out one more. I don't want to make the lesson too long. I didn't have this one on the list. Okay, this is Jeremiah 51 verse 7, and it reads, "Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that hath made the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, and therefore the nations are mad." Right? So this is referring to a Babylon, so essentially it's not referring to an ancient Babylon, but a new Babylon that would take on and spread its philosophies, spread its customs into the faces of these other nations, and the nations will be so angry. And that Babylon's referring to America, Babylon the Great. And this particular nation, this is the wine that it pushes forth. This wine is referring to different customs, philosophies that completely contrast Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and his righteous order. Pursuant to Isaiah 55, it says that, his ways are above our ways. His thoughts are above our thoughts, right? So roughly paraphrasing, right? And this is why a lot of these nations like Russia and like China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, they live a very closer to an ancient lifestyle that completely contrasts the ways and customs of America. Like I was talking about earlier, where they have, women's empowerment, feminism, and all that, all these different philosophies and customs completely destroy our families, and it makes us more detestable in the eyes of the Heavenly Father, right? So that's why I wanted to just bring this out. And this is why a lot of these nations are mad, because they don't want this influence. Like, for example, China. Like, if you look at I'm just going to use China as an example. There are some commercials that China had put out, and when you look at the commercials for the military, they look so like increasingly masculine, as opposed to, like, if you look at the U.S. Army. For America, they're pushing this alphabet lifestyle, and they look completely like degenerates. They look completely weak, right? That's why in this kingdom is going to be completely destroyed, and it's not going to take very long to do it, right? Because it's so weak. It's weakened from the inside. That's why it's rotten from the inside. That's why it's going to be so quick. It's going to be a swift destruction, right? So anyways, this really just solidifies the point. I don't want to make the lesson too long, but hopefully, this video was edifying. And I'd just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakan Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Until next time, I say Shalom.